Good luck with you, Yuki. We're all counting on you, sort of. I don't even know anymore. Greetings and salutations, viewers. I'm StarPrincessHLC, coming at you with another review of School Live, this strange moe, anime, basically around 4 girls, a dog, a teacher, and a lot of zombies. It's very dark, but also very cute at the same time. I'll have a link in the description below where you can watch it on Crunchyroll, all 12 episodes, without my silly face getting in the way of everything. And this is actually the last episode of this series, episode 12. Seems like a while since we've gotten through this, but we're getting there, and this was quite an ending, so without further ado, let us begin. Swing away, Yuki! Swing away! Okay, this is again why Kurumi should have not been the only fighter! Right off the bat, this episode starts off pretty hectic, I'm just gonna say right off the bat. It's hectic with Yuki running to the broadcasting room, Miki being hidden atop of an area trying to keep away from zombies that are closing in. Kurumi is quickly turning as Risun is having a panic attack over the fact that she may have to kill her friend soon. Things are not looking very good as the zombies keep swarming in and causing more mass hysteria than need be. Well, this is a bit of a sticky situation, isn't it? Hey, can we talk about this? Wow, it's like I'm back on top of the piano all over again. But somehow Yuki manages to come in and save the day at the last possible minute. You think that Miki is going to die, but then Yuki gets into the broadcasting room and actually makes a little speech, and you would think, oh no, she's going to draw all the zombies to her, she's going to get herself killed and sacrifice herself for everyone else, but somehow this actually works. It goes back to the fact that the zombies have some memory of their lives before they became zombies, that they have, recollection of what life was before they were alive. She basically gets that confirmed for her when Toromaru actually saves her from a zombie attack and actually jumps into her arms when she shows up her hat, her little kitty cat hat that Toromaru, for the bulk of the series, has been trying to steal and play with. So, using that as a jumping off point, Yuki realizes they do have memories of what happened. They're actually here because they love the school so much, which I find a little odd, but she goes on the broadcasting thing and says, the school is closed. I know you really love school. And, she does this really nice, sweet speech talking about how much she loves her school and realizes why so many people love her school. It's really touching, and I could definitely not do it any justice. You're better off listening to Yuki say it herself. But it was really sweet, really touching, and it somehow manages to work. The zombies, they all filter out and leave. Miki manages to run back through the halls and get to Risun and administer the vaccine, the supposed cure, to Kurumi, and it leads up to everybody just kind of waiting it out and seeing what develops. That's sweet, but at the same time I'm feeling like you're kind of drawing everybody to your location. Aren't you worried of the horde coming after you instead? Just saying. Well, 2 things happen at the end of that. One scenario, basically, Kurumi wakes up and she's perfectly fine. It seems like the zombification process halted. She is not a zombie as far as we know. I mean, her arm still looks a little bulged out in places and bloody, so I'm a little skeptical on that, especially considering I know at least one little spoiler from the manga. I'm just going to say a quick spoiler here. Well, this whole thing is spoilers anyway, but in the manga, apparently, Kurumi is only partially healed from the zombification. Apparently, it has it so that she, still is human. She still retains, all the stuff that she is. She seems human, but apparently it makes her immune to the zombies. Like, they don't even notice she is. Like, they kind of think of her as a zombie. I don't know anything further than that, if that has any more implications in the future of the manga, but that's what I know. But at least in the anime, because I don't know if they're going to do any more in the anime, but in this anime, it seems like Kurumi is perfectly fine. So that's at least one nice thing you could take away from it, is that, you know, the fighter didn't die. One of the characters we've been attached to for so long didn't turn to a zombie, and we had to kill her. So that's a big plus in my book. Oh, hello. You don't look so bad. I mean, granted, your arm's still a little bulged out there, but it's good to see you're okay. But on the other hand, if you've seen this show or at least read the manga enough, then you know that that things don't always work out as you expected. And of course, to, you know, set up to this nice positive thing of Kurumi isn't a zombie, we have a bit of a sad moment along with it, where they attempted to use the vaccine on Toromaru. Now, I had my suspicions it wasn't going to work anyway, because I figured it was for humans, not dogs, but this was a very hard scene to get through. Even though I've watched it beforehand, it still got me a little teary-eyed, where unfortunately, I guess Toromaru was bitten too long, and the vaccine, although it made him normal long enough, it still was basically enough to say goodbye, and poor Toromaru ends up dying in Miki's arms, and they have to bury him alongside Megune's cross in the garden. So it was a very sad and very emotional scene to begin with. Like I said, I felt the tears coming myself. It was very hard, considering we've seen this little puppy for 12 episodes, and now he's gone. I mean, you kind of expect it, especially the last couple of episodes, which I will touch upon in the my discussion of the openings of this series, but it's very upsetting, especially considering, like, Miki finally was able to get some connection to Toromaru after all this time. You know, like the last few episodes, they were finally bonding, and, you know, now he's gone, so it's very sad. And supposedly, I think his death is way worse in the manga than it is in the anime, so I probably should actually read the manga myself just to see, you know, the changes that they made to it, but it was hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard to watch. Oh no. Oh, I had a feeling he wasn't gonna make it. Poor puppy. Oh. Oh, come on, you're gonna make me cry. Stop. I know, it's a... But it did kind of end on a little bit of a sweet note as well. I mean, it was a mixture of different things. Like, Yuki really seems to have kind of come in her own a little bit since, you know, finally accepting the world as it is and finally accepting Megune's death. You know, even providing good advice to Miki, saying, like, you know, don't forget Toromaru's last words. Don't forget, you know, all the sad times. It's okay to be sad. And it's a good lesson. You know, it's okay to be sad once in a while. You know, it's important to remember the ones that you lost. So, I am glad that Yuki, you know, in a way has grown up through this whole scenario. And it's even more kind of evident when she gives up her little kitty cat hat to put in Toromaru's grave. Kind of almost like a little bit of a symbolism to say she's kind of throwing away her childish demeanor about this whole thing and is finally starting to mature a little bit. So I really appreciate the fact that that happened, and it really makes Yuki a much better character in that way. It really is nice to see, like, her progression from, like, the very first episode onward, and it really shows how she's grown as a character, and all of them have really grown, but especially Yuki, I feel. And then you will essentially think that everything is okay when it isn't. She's grown quite wise in such a short amount of time. The last big thing that the group does is essentially they decide to have a little graduation ceremony before they leave the school. Obviously, with all the damage done to the school, they can't sustain living there for very long. So they decide to pack up what they can collect, food, water, etc., and pack it all in Megune's car. And after their little graduation ceremony, they decide, we're going to go out and try and find help. We're going to try and find somewhere else to go. And fortunately, a lot of it seems to help that Megune managed to find a map and actually marked down places in little teddy bear symbols where, excuse me, where there might be shelters that the girls can go to. So I give her credit that she was like thinking ahead for when they were eventually going to leave. So that's good. So at least they have maybe some idea of where they're going, although even they admit, like, you know, people could be just as, if not more, dangerous than the zombies, so we have to be cautious. But at least they sort of have a plan on what to do next, considering, again, they can't live in that school anymore. It's been damaged all to hell. Their electricity's failing and everything because of all the damage. So it's good that they're moving on, but again, questions of what's going to happen in the upcoming future. Again, I guess it's touched on in the manga, unless they continue the anime somehow, which I don't know if they will, but it's good to see that, you know, despite everything, they're still optimistic. They still have their little graduation ceremony. It's very sweet and adorable, and they pack up and they go, and, you know, fingers crossed that something good happens to them despite all that's happened thus far. Aw, good old Megune. That's definitely gotta be her because it's a teddy bear shape. She was a good teacher. There were also a few little moments after the credits, strangely enough. Like, or at least even a little bit before the credits. Like, for example, one point, when the girls were finally driving out and leaving, Miki looks over and sees some zombie walk into the school, and she looks quite stunned, and then suddenly smiles, and then it cuts to, like, a little snippet of her saying something to Kay. So I am partially wondering if it was that the zombie that we saw in that section was Kay, you know, the friend that Miki's been looking for so long. I wonder if it was. She did sadly become a zombie, and that was her that we saw passing by in the car. So that would at least wrap up that that story arc, but I don't know. Maybe it's mentioned in the manga. I don't know. A lot of this is going to end up going into, probably should check out the manga to see what's going on. So there was that. Oh, hey, there's one other zombie. Was that Kay? Why do I have a feeling that zombie that just walked by was Kay? I wouldn't be surprised. And catching up with the music. It's adorable. Now you get to hear the actual tune. It's an adorable little song. Also, some talk of why it was Toromaru went down into the basement in the first place came up. And strangely enough, Yuki found like a little wrapper. I guess it was, I don't know if it was like bologna or something, but it had little bite marks on it. And everyone was like, well, maybe it's Toromaru. But it's like, no, it's smaller than Toromaru. So it was like, maybe there was a puppy down there and he was trying to protect that puppy. So kind of going back to the thought that I had prior to episode 9, I believe it was, where Toromaru went down looking for like a dog. Like thought I heard a dog barking and Toromaru went after. It seems like there probably was another dog in the school at the time. Not sure how he or she got in there. That's a question for another day, and I don't even know if the dog shows up in the manga at all. But we do see a brief little snippet of like this small little bit of a puppy showing up briefly at the end, looking at Toromaru and Megune's crosses, and actually dug up Yuki's hat, which was buried with Toromaru. So I don't know if that puppy will be of any use or any, significance later on. Again, I don't even know if there's going to be another anime season coming up or not, but it is interesting to say that, well, if it does continue, we're probably going to have a replacement for Toromaru really quickly, but I'm curious on that one too, so interesting. Not overtly important, but interesting nonetheless. Oh, hello, there's that dog. And it dug up Yuki's hat for some reason. Does that dog come into play later on? I don't even know. And finally, the last scene that we witness at the end of the credits, some person, I don't know who, again, might be important later on in the manga, or if they do another anime, I don't know, but somebody manages to find one of the little notes that the girls sent out. If you remember in the one episode, they did the whole thing with the balloons and the carrier pigeon of notes sent off to try and find help or what have you, and this person found the one picture of that Yuki drew of the whole group and saying we're happy. So again, I don't know if that's going to be of any significance later on. I don't know if it's going to be in the manga or if it's going to be in another episode of the anime. If they do another season, I don't know. But it's interesting to say the least. They are kind of setting up for another series, but at this current point in time, I don't know if there's another season coming. So if the most I could say is just probably read the manga and see where it goes from there. Are you falling asleep in the back there, Yuki? You silly girl. But hey, at least you're with your friends, and everything's gonna, well, possibly turn out okay. At least in the anime. Manga, on the other hand, I think it's a little bit darker and a lot more negative stuff kind of happens. So we'll see. Oh, hello. We got ourselves a little cutscene at the end of the credits. Who are you? Are you of importance? Oh, hey! They found the graduation photo. That can't be good, or it could be, I don't know. Read the manga! But overall, this one was definitely a roller coaster of emotions. You had some pretty high moments where it was like sweet and adorable and cutesy, and then you had the low points where it's like, oh, the dog died, and we're gonna have to leave, and who knows what's gonna happen next. That's probably the best explanation I could say for this whole series, is that it really is a roller coaster of emotions. It's like, one minute you're on this, happy-go-lucky high of all this cutesiness and having a lot of fun, but then it balances it out a little bit with the dark, tragic, zombie apocalyptic stuff in between. And I quite like that about this anime. They finally called her Sakura Sensei, just like she wanted. But she'll always be our Megune. Aww. Bye. I'm sure she's proud of all of you guys. They're just gonna leave him up? Well, okay. Not like anyone's gonna come back, right? Like I said, probably the first episode of this review series is that pretty much the first episode is going to be whether or not you're gonna like this series or not. Like, I got instantly roped in just because it's like, well, at first you're thinking, it's just cutesy anime, girly stuff. Why would I want to watch that? But all of a sudden you start seeing the pieces fall in, and it's like, oh, there's more to this than meets the eye. I gotta check out and see what's gonna happen to these girls. That kind of thing. And there were a few slow episodes. I will not deny that. I'm guessing a lot of them were probably icebreakers, like the swimsuit episode. But overall, this still is a very entertaining and very adorable, while also being very dark, anime. And, I'm sure there's probably other anime that have done more with this kind of concept. I'm not sure. I'm not that big in anime. I've watched a few, but a friend of mine suggested watching this, and I kind of wanted to see it, and after seeing the first episode and watching through it, I'm like, I kind of want to talk about this. This feels like a little bit of a gem that people don't always notice. So I'm glad I got to watch this, and I hope you guys enjoyed at least my silly ramblings on it. I hope if you're interested, you'll check out the anime yourself, maybe check out the manga. I don't know, but I really enjoyed this. But stick around because I still have one more review I want to make on this, and that's to talk about the opening cinematics of this, because a lot of stuff really gets discussed and shown throughout the series just by the opening sequence alone. So I want to do that as a separate video. I don't know when I'll get to that because it will probably take a bit longer than actually sitting down reviewing these, but I'm going to get to that in due time, I promise. But thank you everyone for sticking around, for enjoying this series. I gotta figure out another thing to review. I got a few ideas, but again, let me know in the comments below if you have any ideas of what you'd like to see me review next. But for now, this is StarPrincessHLC saying thank you very much for watching, and have a fond farewell.